What if it was only one specific belief that could change everything for you? If you feel like you keep trying and nothing's changing, it could just be one small shift that can help you start to maximize so much more. In this video, I'm going to share with you a story that shifted my personal mindset and break down 6 different things that we can learn from this one shift. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, my name is Bennett Schwartz. I'm here to share some ideas that have helped me move the needle just a little bit, and I hope you find them beneficial. So the first week I started working with my health coach, we were trying to figure out all the different things and all the habits that I had to start to change. And I realized that there's a specific time on Friday nights that I really love having bread. It was one of these things that really solidified the week, and it was such an amazing time. And my wife used to make some fancy bread, and it was so good. So I asked him, am I able to have this bread or not? And we were going back and forth, and he said, you know what, you could probably have about 2 pieces, but just don't go crazy. I don't want you to feel like you're being held back, but understand that if we want to do things, we're gonna have to change a little bit. And I started to understand what he was trying to say, and it was the answer I was actually expecting. But then I asked him this other question. I said, if I am trying to start to lose weight, to get into shape, then there's certain things I'm going to need to be doing. And if I start to categorize this piece of bread as some type of win that I'm going to be having, then is it not true that the rest of the week I'm going to look or feel like I'm going to be suffering the whole time? Meaning I'll be having 6 days of just work that I'm going to have to be really just pulling myself together, all in order to hit that one goal of having that piece of bread on Friday night. And I realized to myself, if I end up having this mindset that I'm rewarding myself with a piece of bread, then what I'm really doing is I'm saying the rest of the week is going to be extremely difficult for me. And practically, whether I have the piece of bread or don't have the piece of bread, that's a totally different conversation. But the mindset of me wanting to be in this in the long game is the thing that I wanted to be in. And I asked them, maybe I shouldn't be thinking and trying to desire this piece of bread, and whether I have it or I don't have it, who cares really? But at the end of the day, I want to change my habits and really try to implement this into my whole life. And the reason why I'm telling you this story is because I think for so many people, they want to be doing new things. They want to be hitting certain goals. And the hard part is that they've been doing something that hasn't been working, and they want to get into the field of being able to accomplish those things. And they know what it is that they want to be doing, and naturally they're being pulled back against it. But we have to have this shift to say that if we want to be able to see certain successes, we have to go all in and stay committed to the process. And that brings me to my first point. It's commitment. You see, when it comes to any specific goal, we have to understand that we have to stay committed. And for so many of us, it's so easy to set a goal and then just start a new one because there's nobody really holding us accountable. But at the end of the day, the most important person that can hold you accountable is yourself. You see, if we wanted to really be able to build ourselves and really stay committed, we have to understand that we have to do until period. And you might say, well, Bennett, aren't there times you have to shift? And the answer is yes. But when we are starting out on our goals, we have to realize also that we maybe shouldn't commit for such a long time. Let's commit for a few days, a week or 2 weeks. And by doing that, what we see is we actually get a taste of what it's going to be like. Then once we start to do it, regardless of whether we want to do it or not, then we have a better understanding of whether we want to continue doing the specific commit. I mean, it makes logical sense that if we want to be able to do something and we're not really sure how it's going to be, then we should jump into it, understand what's happening, and then really start to commit in the long term. There's nothing wrong with committing in the short term, and what we have to understand is that if you want to have something last, we have to be able to understand what it is we're doing. And we're not going through the hard times, then what's going to happen is we're just going to fall off. If you're looking to succeed at something, we have to understand we have to commit until. And if the goal is too big to commit to, break it down to something smaller, get those wins, and then look to commit in the long run. The second thing you have to understand is that you have to stop asking for shortcuts. You see, for me in my 20s, I was constantly looking to try to figure out the new idea or the new way that I could try to really hurry up my success. And what I ended up realizing in my 30s is that it's not the way it works. You see, we have to be able to do the work in order to see that success. You can't just get a 6-pack overnight. You have to be able to put in the work. And what's cool about getting a 6-pack is that you start to see the results as you go. And when you see the results, then you have this ability to be able to move forward and to take advantage of that. For so many of us, we pick a specific goal, but all we're trying to do is just find the shortcut. And what we have to realize is that there is no shortcut. And we have to really see what the expectation of the work that it is that we're going to be doing. And whether that means speaking to people or reading books or listening to podcasts, we have to understand what that expectation is in order for us to be able to see the success that we want. If you want things to change, you're going to have to change, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You're trying to become somebody different, and therefore you might have different priorities that are going to be going on while you are trying to achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve. And this brings me to my third idea, that you have to stop being entitled. Yes, I'm going to say you're being entitled. If you're somebody who is doing something, if you have certain patterns that you want to be able to break, then you have to realize that things are going to have to be different in your life. If you have not been successful so far financially and you want to become successful and things aren't working out your way and you're getting upset and frustrated, a lot of the time it's because you think that you're capable, the things that you deserve certain work. And what you have to understand is that in order to become successful, it is hard, it is difficult, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so many times, so many people think that they have the skills, they have the knowledge in terms of what it is that they need to do in order to see success. And what's cool cool about success is that the more success you start to see, the more you realize how little you know and how much work that really successful people put in. So if you can start to recognize that, that can start to be a massive shift in terms of what it is that you want to be doing. But understand that we can't be entitled in terms of the success that we think we deserve. We have to prove to everybody and prove to the goal that we are setting that we are going to attain you, we're going to reach you, because we're going to work our tails off in order to make that happen. That being said, if you have found any value from this video so far, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. The fourth idea I want to speak about is the idea of asking permission. You see, when I asked my coach for the piece of bread, I understood that I really knew deep down inside what he should say and what he was going to say. But I was just trying to ask permission in order to make things happen. And I think so many times within our lives, within the goals that we set for ourselves, we want to be doing certain things, and yet we are asking permission to make those things happen. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good for us. How many times do we have a friend or a family member who we know are going to do the favor for us? They might write our book report, or they might give us the money that we might need, but we really know that's not good for us internally. If we could start to understand that we have to stop asking permission and we have to take responsibility, that can make such a difference in terms of the goals that we want to achieve. So many people get so stuck because they end up relying on so many other people and are not building their own personal skills. Cut the ropes and allow yourself to move forward to take that action. Number 5 is a different mindset shift also that we have to start to realize, because one of the things that happens when we start to get into goals is that we start to think that this feeling of it being difficult is going to be forever. When you start a diet, it's going to be hard. When you start going to the gym, it's going to be this hard the whole time. And what we have to realize is it's going to be difficult until it's not. And that's totally okay. And we have to realize that if we could shift our mindset to say it's going to be difficult in the beginning and we're going to get used to it and we're going to understand, or we're going to have to start to shift our mentality, shift our routines, shift our habits. And then all of a sudden in the long term, it's going to be so much easier for us to be able to accomplish this stuff. Recognizing that will really make such a massive difference, because so many people get so frustrated because they think it's going to be so difficult the whole entire time. But I'm telling you, the more you stay committed, the more you are building your muscle. And that's how you have to view it. You are going to the gym on yourself, on the internal stuff and the habits that you're trying to build. You're becoming somebody different. We have to recognize that, to allow ourselves to become that type of person that we want to become. And the sixth and final lesson from this story is that we have to understand that we need help. You see, my help was something that I was trying to figure out for a long time. I knew I just needed to listen to podcasts or I needed to read a book, but I needed somebody to help guide me. And I recognized that, and I seeked help, and I asked some friends, and I found a coach that was good for me. You need to get the people in your corner that are going to help move the needle forward. For so many people, they get so stuck because they need that person. They need that guidance from somebody who's been there before. Find those people, reach out to those people, seek that help, and you're going to see that these are going to be able to move so much faster, and you're not going to be alone. You have that ability of making this thing happen, and all you have to do is just raise your hand and you have to ask. And yes, sometimes, you know what, it might be an investment, but figure it out. Try to figure out who it is that can help you make that investment. Because at the end of the day, if you're not able to move forward, if you're not able to take that on, then I'm telling you, it's going to be so much more difficult to be able to help you get that next stage that you're. And if you're the type of person who is constantly having a bad day and you just feel like garbage all the time, make sure to take a look at this next video where we talk about what it is that you can do to get yourself back into it.